Hey there, surfers. This is Midnight Mike coming at you with surf dudes with attitude. I got my co-host over here, Gopher. How's it going, Gopher?
How's it going, Midnight Mike? This is Gopher out of New York City. Hello.
Gopher, good to see you. And we got producer Crank. How's it going, Crank? It's been a long time.
It's going well. I can't do a British accent.
I think we're supposed to be British in this. I forgot. Thank you, Midnight Mike, you're like the Price is Right guy that just tells everybody to run down, and we appreciate your enthusiasm here.
And you always do. You always run right on time, don't you?
I do. This is Surf Dudes with Attitude. Keep it stout, everybody. Thanks for coming back. This is a special episode all around. First of all three of us are here, which is huge. It's like
this is big.
Like the second time this summer. I love it. And we also have another returning guest with us. It's Jenny. It's Jenny. Back.
Oh, we've been talking about this episode for a long time.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Gosh.
But I wrote in my notes twice. I was like, I can't believe we're here. We had talked about this fucking 6 months ago or something that we're like, guys, you know how old we're going to be when we actually get to the episode where Jenny comes back.
Yeah.
For anybody not to know, that this is we were watching the 17th episode of season 2, but this episode was shot and was supposed to be shown as the second episode of the second season. So for some bumfuck reason, it was, I don't know, it was just thrown way. It was just, instead of the second episode, it's now the second to last episode of the season. So we had a big debate on when we should do this episode, and we stood firm because we had already booked guests and we didn't want to like unbook them. So we're doing it here. The episode air date along with everyone else. Crank, Mike, how do you all want to tackle this, and how have you been?
From the top. That's the first answer.
Okay.
Been doing well. I don't remember. So this will be after. So you were just in Tennessee, Pete.
I was.
Gopher.
I was.
It was good to see you. It was good to spend time with you.
It was
Crank, we're gonna get you over here next time.
We had such a fun time. We got a lot of great content for the podcast, and we just got to hang without our instruments for the first time and maybe ever. And it was actually just really nice to just chill. So that's my 2 cents about that. But yes, continue.
I feel the same. It was nice. It was very nice.
Yeah.
That's basically all we've been doing. Just hanging out and chilling and work and things like that.
Sure.
Preparing for Festival of Ghouls. That's in full swing, our Halloween show.
Mm-hmm.
So building trees as you do.
Building trees? Are you planting roots? Is that what you mean?
Well, I like that. That's poetic.
It's probably better.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
I wasn't sure if you joined 311 or whatever.
We're branching out. We're doing something a little. Yeah.
I like building trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Planting seeds, etc. No, we're building actual trees. The whole thing's Halloween camp themed. So it takes place in a haunted forest. Mm-hmm. But we got a big trees for it. So that's it. That's my life. How about you, Crank?
Things have been going well. This is the first time that the three of us have been together since we interviewed J. Anthony Frankie.
Mm-mm.
What?
Yeah.
Is that true?
It is true.
We just kept missing each other. I went on tour.
We have, because I wanted to talk to you guys and follow up on that, but we haven't had the opportunity.
It's a little after the fact now.
Little late, but first I wanted to say it was great of the guy to give us his time, but something I don't know what happened, but something just broke in my head after that interview, and I got a new guitar, and the conversation with him about how when you're self-taught that you just have to fuck around until you make a mistake, and that's when you'll break through. That really resonated with me, and my ability to play guitar is increasing more now than it ever has.
Nice.
It's really weird that, this podcast about a television show and music has really been the thing to push me through. And Pete, I know that you've had similar experiences with guitar through this podcast.
Yeah, this podcast has actually helped me get back to just writing stuff that wasn't for a band. Like it was just, this was for me, and it got me playing in standard tuning for pretty much the first time since I was a teenager. So it's just been kind of fun picking up acoustic guitar because of this podcast and writing these little vignettes and writing the theme song for our various shows here for Surf Dudes with Attitude. And I just played a wedding on guitar just 2 days ago on my birthday, and it was an 80 song set list. And I have to credit this podcast with at least getting me back in the swing of things that I could play that amount of shit.
Is that the first time that you've played a guitar for a show?
Other than the past 2 weddings I've played, yes, the first time since maybe high school, I think.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, did you play? How much of it was on guitar?
The whole thing.
The whole thing? How many songs?
80. There was an 80 song set list with my cellist. And
what?
So I had a volume pedal for my guitar, and she had a volume pedal for our backing tracks that we were using, which I don't know. I'm a big sellout. But there was a couple songs where either we were playing in the wrong key because there's some transposing miscommunication or something, or I just didn't know this pop song enough that I could kind of get it through. So I just eased back on that volume pedal and I just fucking faked it. So
what?
So just like she pushed the backing track a little harder up, and because sometimes the backing track had guitar in it, and I was like, "What am I here for? Just to look pretty?" And I'm like, "Done. I can do that. But I can fake it." But I was channeling J. Anthony Frankie with how he was saying that he just learned some of the ideas of the riffs, and we're playing for 100-person wedding, and they were all eating dinner. They're not gonna fucking know.
That's awesome. How many of the 80 songs did you play? And how many of them were California Dream songs?
We tried to put some of our own stuff, but mostly we tried to put California Dream songs in there. And for some reason, they just were like, I'm sorry, that email kept bouncing back. I didn't get it. It's weird that they mentioned the email, said they didn't get it, but we ended up playing about 60 of them. And that was only because we were at 3 different locations for the day. So we had to keep moving our gear. And I was like, well, I'm going to take my time moving this gear because that's just, we're still getting paid. So, and there were some songs that we were scared to. I'll be honest, but I can leave that for another time. But all I can say is fuck Take My Breath Away by Berlin, because it's got 3 key changes. So fuck that.
That song is surprisingly difficult.
It's way hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
I played it for an event as a backing band thing. And and I was like, oh, I love this song. This will be easy. And I was like, fuck, no.
I hate that song. I hate it more even now. And I'm glad we nixed
that song. Wow, 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 wow.
We'll talk more about all of this in post.
No, Crank. Do it now. You're right. All right, we can get to the episode.
I found out why this episode was pushed back. Do you guys know what happened on January 29th, 1994 when this song came out?
When this show came out?
This episode came out.
Well, that's
January 4th, 1994.
Well, you're saying January 29th when this episode aired, right?
Right.
Okay, well, that's not why it would be pushed back, but let's hear what happened on that day.
Wouldn't it be?
Well, unless they specifically wanted it to be on this date, then it would be that something would have happened back in September when the season first started to get it pushed back.
No, they skipped the episode because something else, an emergency broadcast, was playing, and they're like, well, we just go to the next episode.
But the next episode wouldn't have been episode 2.
What is it? I'm dying to know.
Joke, but why don't you just tell me? Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie you want to see?
Well, what happened was on January 29th, 1994, Bill Murray divorced Margaret Kelly after 13 years.
I mean, devastating.
That is the only thing I can find out that happened.
Yeah, that would be That could be it.
I honestly, here's what I think. So before we get into the episode, theories on why this was pushed back. I think it was to introduce Sam as quick as possible and get this going. And because we were introducing new characters to season, and maybe there was like a faltering kind of viewership, and they're like, quick, we need to get her on, kind of thing. So
it's wild because I mean, it's weird to see some of the stuff that happens that we'll obviously get into, but it's weird to see these character dynamics, namely Jake crushing on Jenny while he and Tiffany have been together for this whole season. And none of that being present in this episode. But also, like, substance and story wise, this is one of the more interesting episodes, I think, of this season. And it's interesting that they didn't like lead with it heavier of like, this is the beginning of this season. It would be it's got a good new song that's pretty rocking, maybe the heaviest they've been so far
for at least for a while.
It's really funny trying to put this back in context because like this was really heavy on the gimmicks. And if you think about the episode that follows linearly is Ciao Jenny, which is when she's sabotaging auditions to go to music school. So it's funny to watch this episode now after the progression in the writing where it becomes a legitimately funny show at sometimes and going back to the previous writing style that was just full of gimmicks. Not
like this show. No gimmicks here.
No,
definitely don't have fake names or cosplaying every single week.
I agree with you completely, Gopher.
So we are Surf Dudes with Attitude back again. I want to thank all of our listeners and our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. If you want to write us, we're at surfdudeswithattitude@gmail.com. If you want to check out the podcast, it's surfdudeswithattitude.com, and Patreon, if I'm not mistaken, it's still CaliforniaDreamsPodcast.com. We have stolen that from the California Dreams, and that's where you can help support the show. So, I mean, I'm anxious to get into this.
We have CaliforniaDreamsPodcast.com.
We do. It doesn't crash as much as CaliforniaDreamsBand.com, but we're gonna get there.
Surf Dudes with Attitude.
That's right. This is where you can get the official T-shirt of this podcast. Okay, you zoo DJ on your crazy morning drive. Do you want to usher us into this episode, Midnight Mike?
Let's do it. How was that?
That was pretty good. What's up, George? You okay?
Yeah. No, I was waiting for something to happen in the middle of all of this going on. Here's Gopher with the weather.
We got this big blue thing. So I immediately want to talk about how I was taken aback with the intro. I did cheat a little.
Jenny's back.
I cheated a little like a couple weeks ago, and I just let it go because it was on autoplay. And I'm like, I wanted to see, and then like, it's nothing against Sam's voice, but like Heidi's voice is just big. It is just big, and she's got fucking pipes. She is like an Italian organ in a Catholic church. It's just bigger. And
it is bigger, and it feels like obviously Heidi hasn't really done much after this that we're aware of, but she was young when this happened, so her voice was only going to probably get better, you know.
I think so. Fine wine kind of situation,
because it feels like it feels like a lot of what she does feels like it's almost there, and it's like she has an amazing voice. I'm not critiquing it.
Yeah.
But it's a young voice. It's a voice that's like an instrument that has not had as much experience yet.
Sure.
And it's
I think she
can do more than she even did with it.
I think that's why she left the show. She wanted to be like, she could have been and probably was like a legitimate musician after this. And you're like, I have a young esophagus and larynx only once. I'm not going to waste it. So.
And you can quote us on that.
This was This was such a treat seeing this again. I just like the entire episode was just kind of like a blast from the past that a very small niche of people can actually appreciate. And we are those people. So you could see that they had filmed, like when Sam came in, they all filmed the same goofy intro again. So it was crazy seeing the old one that they filmed that we only saw once. And we only saw the pilot episode of when Jake's song came out. So, I guess we saw it twice though, and when Jenny left. So,
ciao, Jenny.
I was really hoping we'd see the family one more time and maybe we'd get an uncredited appearance, but we didn't. So, this is officially the last appearance of Jenny, of any Garrison member, and we only have one more with Matt. So, this, as George said, this episode came out on January 29th, 1994. Firmly in an odd year. I don't know, Zach. I wasn't prepared for all this episode was going to give us.
It really goes places. And let's get into it. It starts in the garage.
Yeah.
As we often do. Matt and Tony are playing a game of horse or the like. They're with basketball. This scene is awesome because it's like the fourth wall that we are as the audience is supposed to be like, there is the driveway and we're supposed to, infer that the door is open because Tony's about to make this trick shot that bounces down the driveway, off the mailbox, off of Sly's roof, and then back off the driveway into the hoop. Yes, this is confirmed now. Sly is absolutely a neighbor.
That's fucked up. I did not hear that at all because I was writing. I was like, I was literally typing. I was like, does Zach even get this reference? This nothing but net reference. Do you remember this commercial brand? This what's it called? A PR campaign, basically.
I mean, not specific. I know what nothing but net means.
Well, so it was a whole thing. I think it was around the time as Space Jam. George is telling us it's a McDonald's commercial. So it was basically Michael Jordan and somebody else being like, and Larry Bird, I think. They're like, off this, against the backboard, off the rafters, nothing but net kind of thing. So it was this entire marketing campaign. Yeah. Oh, it might have been the Dream Team. That would make even more sense.
Okay. This is.
Am I unearthing something?
Yeah, a little bit.
Are you crying?
I'm getting emotional. It was a really rough year for me. I blocked out most of it. Yeah, that's wild. That is in the like deep recesses of my childhood. I would have been 4,
Yeah. So it's crazy that, so Sly is officially the neighbor. It makes sense. He's always there. Steve Urkel.
Yeah.
90s tropes. Love it. Okay. So
confirmed.
Anyway,
so they go for the shot, miss, but hit Jake as he's rolling up.
Are they inside the garage? How is he going to? So he's going to throw it at them, like outside of the open door. Like he's gonna, and you can see the hoop over the poker table, I guess, right? That we don't see
exactly. You can see the hoop in the screen where it's going to land. So the hoop is like in line with the garage door. The physics here don't entirely make sense. And they didn't bother like lighting the room in a way that looks like natural light is coming through.
It was a weird shot. We saw more of the garage than we normally do. We saw more of the fourth wall kind of
deeper,
thing.
Ain't it? Yeah. Jake pulls up on his bike holding the basketball and the crowd just loves it.
Okay, so this is his second episode with Jake, and they're fucking whooping like crazy.
They're loving it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like we had an entire season to get to know Jake and his many onion layers. But this one, he's definitely more like, I'm a caveman, I'm going to beat everybody up kind of thing, which was more of his persona in that first episode.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
But cool enough to wear a helmet. That's right. First, everybody drive carefully.
You got to drive carefully. That's right. We knew Matt would have gotten after him if not. So
did you think they looked younger? Because they were younger, and Matt's hair looked like almost darker. Am I crazy? It looked like jet black.
I didn't notice that they were younger. I also, as I admitted before this, I watched it on my phone during my lunch break. So that was the time that I had.
This was like 6 months ago, Zach. Wow.
So
this is what you used to do.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's not much has changed, but that's what happened. I'm pulling it up now because I am curious. Dirty Dog Days.
Yeah. I thought
this will help because I'll probably want to look at stuff.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they're trying to make him look younger or cooler because now Jake's in the picture. You never know.
It does look a little darker. He's got some product in it, I think, or it's just greasy. He's a greasy boy. Sly comes rolling in, and he's got a thing. He's got one of those old.
Wait. So you're missing where Jake calls them Larry Birdbrain and Air Moron.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Which means you're not missing much. I should have mentioned it.
Well, no, but there aren't a ton of jokes in this show, and when they happen, they need not be missed. So thank you.
I got 1.5 LPEs on this episode that I'm excited to talk about.
Whoa,
yep, that might be a new high for me.
My jaw dropped at a certain point because of the absurdity of a certain scene.
This episode was absurd. This is probably the most serious. This is what the 15th total episode. The first season had 13 episodes. This is a 15th. Like, this is easily the most bizarre episode where it's like they fully went into it. I did not think we were going to see this until later in the season, but.
Yeah,
anyway.
This episode is kind of awesome. So Sly pulls up. He's got an old timey radio transmitter that he got from his that he inherited from his cousin, and then Tony's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know he passed." He's like, "Oh, he hasn't yet, but doctor said he's done for, so we took his stuff early."
How old is Monty? Dark. He's a cousin. He has to be sort of similar age, right?
I would assume maybe.
So yeah, the person has some kind of childhood disease.
It's so dark, and then he's like, "It doesn't even work." He's like, "Oh man, I knew I should have taken the CD player." He's a piece of shit.
So, and without missing a beat, Jake grabs the microphone and just ad-libs this entire backstory.
Midnight Mike comes out of nowhere. Holy shit. I didn't know Jake had it in him.
Well, nobody else did either when they were writing this episode because they didn't know what Jake was going to be. But after an entire season of seeing Jake, this seemed really out of character. But I guess they're just messing around, and they give Matt and Tony these personas of being this English band that's in town or something.
The Dirty Dogs.
I just gotta say, the regional accents that they're portraying, it's completely different. All right, like one's from Liverpool, one's from has like a Glaswegian accent. So get it together. All right, that's all.
It's okay. I agree. I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, they don't often play together and enjoy each other's time this cast. And it didn't go without making fun of someone, because they made fun of Sly among this. It was like, and our roadie, and it's like, oh, because roadies are lame.
Sure.
But it was really fun to see. Like, I wasn't like really loving it, but I was loving that they were having a good time with this riff that they were just playing together. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, this is some band energy that happens when you're just like in a room with people, and you spend that much time with people, and you just like go on a riff that lasts for a long time.
Well, I mean, you got to think that Jake is showing up for rehearsal, and both Tiffany and Jenny have ditched rehearsal. Just straight, like, I'm not coming. Fuck you. I'm waxing my surfboard and I'm waxing my legs. So,
ow!
That means she's done. Actually, it doesn't. It shouldn't be anywhere in the process.
Exactly. It's a painful process, and it lasts as long as it takes.
So, but they riff for, I don't know, less than a minute.
It felt like a long time.
It did, but it must have felt like a long time for everybody else, because then we go to the hallway and people are losing their goddamn minds over this pirate broadcast, because they did have a throwaway line that said that the broadcast cut into the very popular school radio station that I guess everybody listens to. We've never heard anybody listening to it. So
I don't know about it.
There's some girl that is like, they call the guy hunkish.
Yeah.
What an adjective. I've never been called hunkish. That beard of yours is hunkish, Zach, though.
Oh, thank you. I'm sporting a beard this week, aren't I?
It is. It
might be a reason to join.
It looks dark, like Matt's hair. Did you dye it?
I dye it. Actually, you can't tell that it actually has many shades.
You look like the Just for Men cover. It's like a Sharpie on beard.
Yeah, it is. It looks darker from a distance.
It looks darker, and it juxtaposed to your bleached hair as well. So
this is all natural, baby.
Oh, that's your natural hair?
This is my natural hair. See that? Isn't that crazy how it just grows like that?
I don't know.
I mean, that is crazy. I mean, they're just looking at it, and even I don't believe it.
Sorry, I don't have much hair anymore, so I don't know if it's offensive to call somebody out if they have bleached hair. That is my bad if that's the case. I'm still learning, okay?
I'm not offended by lies. How could I be?
It doesn't apply to me, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, nice tall tails there.
Stay stout. I just had one other comment about Tony's shirt. I think it had Tetris shapes on it, and it said fresh juice.
Fresh juice.
That's what his shirt said. I love his fashion. It makes no sense.
That's a good shirt.
So
he's got good fashion. Those bright yellow pants. I love it.
It's like a rainbow threw up, and in the best way. I'm just so flabbergasted at the amount of people that are in love with this fictional band that the band has accidentally conjured up out of thin air. And then Tiffany and Jenny are there, and they're fucking head over heels. And Jenny is the most horny we've ever seen her. And it doesn't let up until like the last 30 seconds of this episode.
Yeah, I don't even think it lets up then. It just redirects.
Yes, it
redirects. She's got a real lady boner for Midnight Mike. I got to tell you.
I don't know why he doesn't even have the accent. You know, I think it would have been better. She was turned on by the British accent of her brother. That would have made way more sense. All right.
No, that's true. It would have. No.
So speaking of sibling love, we're going to Matt's room, and we haven't seen Matt's room in so long. I've missed it.
I know.
And did you see Matt's face when Jake is talking about how into Jenny he is? Like, it is a face of green jealousy. It is. He is envious, and it was very obvious. He's like, well, basically, what's Jenny have that I don't have? You know, like the answer's sitting right in front of you. Matt.
Exactly. Whose room are you in? We're halfway there.
So, what time of day is this? That's my question.
Well, there's sunlight coming in through the window. So we're
but they're at home. They're at home, but then when they start doing the radio broadcast, people are in school listening to it. So are these after school clubs, or are they skipping school? Is this a lunch period? What the hell is going on? Because later that day, they're like, it's 4:00. So
I don't know. You're the school expert. You tell me. How does this make sense?
Okay, make it make sense. This would have to be a lunch break situation, or those people are after school in some kind of program. But then everybody's at Sharky's later at 4 p.m. So that doesn't make much sense either. So if normal schools let it out around 2:30, 2:45, high schools. So there is some time to play with, but that means the house would have to be really close to the school so they can get there and back. And
2:30, 2:45. Is that what time they get out?
Yep, that's at least what ours were. Normally, so elementary school, you get out more around 4 o'clock, and then it goes down. So, yeah, but George and I, we went to the same school. Ours was 2:23 was the last bell. So,
wow, that's so specific.
I don't know. We both remember that.
That's wild.
So,
I thought you were fucking with me, and then you both said it.
Yeah. So so they do another broadcast. Sly comes up with this idea that they're gonna play some of the Dreams songs, and with how popular Dreams are, nobody fucking knows these songs.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is the only band in school. There might be a couple others.
They're definitely the only residency band at Sharky's.
Yeah, which everyone goes to, which might be indeed the school cafeteria. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So all of these kids would know about California Dreams.
That means,
and they'd be like, oh, this band sounds. I mean, Matt is singing a little differently in this new song.
Yeah,
but they're playing songs, like multiple songs. So are they all songs that are
well, they are playing songs. Vein? And later, Midnight Mike Jake says, we're gonna be here till dawn. And I'm like, how much fucking material do you have to play 14 hours? It's 4 o'clock now. You're going to play till dawn. I looked up when the sun usually comes up in California. It's around 6 a.m. So like
even in 93?
Yes, especially in 94, January.
Oh, my apologies.
Wait, I had a quick question. You said if Sharky's is their cafeteria, that means that Tony works at the cafeteria feeding himself. Through taxpayer dollars.
Yes, he does.
Okay. Did you? So anyway, they're playing the songs, and then Sly's like, "I'm going to tell everybody it's the Dreams," and then we're gonna, I don't know, it's going to be like step 3 prophet kind of thing. He tries to tell people it's the Dreams. Nobody believes him for some reason, and one guy's like, "Join the planet. There's no way it's the California Dreams."
Is that a cool thing to say?
It is now.
Yeah.
How could you even ask me that? Of course it's cool.
Yeah. Join the planet.
Did you catch the cameo here?
The Dirty Dogs are from London. That's right. Yeah, we got the surfer.
What's his name, Zach?
His name is Scuzz.
It's not Scuzz.
His name is Tripwire.
Tripwire. That should be his name. His name is Stingray, which is equally dangerous.
That is so dangerous. Yeah, and he exists in this world, which is shared by the world of Saved by the Bell.
At least Saved by the Bell, the college years, if not the new class and the OG formula. So anyway, the girls are like, we're going to go talk to Midnight Mike because Jenny wants to do him. And Tiffany wants to confront him about playing the band's music on the air and giving credit to another band from across the pond. And the guys try to stop them by calling Jake and Matt. And there's some old lady time traveler at the phone booth.
Oh my God.
Did you forget about her?
No, this is the part that my jaw dropped because she's like, because it was just absurd. They're waiting for the payphone.
Yes.
So they can phone ahead and warn them. And this old lady's talking on the payphone and she's like, they're like, hey, it's kind of important. We need to use that. And she's like, oh, well, phone call didn't go through anyway. And she tries to get her quarter back and it won't come back. And then she's like, did she say something before she gives it hell?
Yeah, she said, hi-ya.
Okay. No words, just hi-ya. And then punches it and it smashes open and she gets her quarter back.
Is she an actual old lady? It seemed like such a bad costume that I thought it could have been somebody young and they just put in like an old lady wig.
Yeah, you know that I was.
She's not credited in the episode. at all.
It was an almost costume for me.
Was
actually my grandma. My grandma had like an identical dress as that. That at one point I could fit into.
At one point,
you
were cross-dressing as a child. That sounds great. I don't know why I even asked. Of course you did.
Yeah, I did. Well, I did once as a child, and then my dad didn't like that so much. But then I did more in high school, and this was in high school.
And he loved that for some reason.
He was like, "Hey, Marjorie," that was my grandma's name. I tricked him. It was great. I got an extra serving of mashed potatoes that night. It was great. Yep.
So they don't get the call. They run to the house. They beat the girls there. And for some reason, the girls have still not figured out what's going on, even though the guys are acting hella suspicious. Yes.
They didn't beat them there. Sorry, you don't need any of that. That was just some wordplay. I'm sorry.
Zach, have you ever seen the movie Pump Up the Volume?
I've heard the song Pump Up the Jam. How similar?
Dissimilar?
Oh.
It's a movie with Christian Slater where he's in high school and he has a pirate radio station and like the entire school is obsessed with it. And then some kid calls in and commits suicide. Whoa. And then, but the whole thing is like, he basically just does dirty talk and jerks off on the air. And then like this suicide thing happens. It is a bonkers movie that takes itself very, very seriously, but this is a very similar plot. Very similar.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So is this satire? Is this a parody?
It is not parody. It's not satire. It's not black comedy. It purports itself to be a philosophical movie for like a new generation.
No, is California Dreams like a parody of that?
Oh, what a long con if it was. I don't think so, but somebody had to have seen that movie. I think it came out in 90. Yeah. I was going to say 89. So somebody had seen this movie and wrote this episode. I guarantee it. There's no way.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely in the lexicon of what was going on. So
okay, so this is just a thing that people could do. I mean, you could just make a
Did you have a radio? I made a radio. I made a little like ham radio.
That went on the air?
No, but you could just like listen to like truckers, talking about the fuzz. You could definitely hear stuff on it. You could get like AM stations.
Yeah, I remember
like coil. Yeah,
getting to do that. Yeah, like building one.
Yes,
but not being able to like, put it on air, broadcast anything.
Sure.
But this is something that Jake figured out, and also Christian Slater. So this must be a thing that you can do.
Yeah,
or could.
Yes.
I mean, radio waves still exist, man.
Speaking of Jake, he's trying to get Jenny to notice him in a sexual way. And he's like, she's so wet for Midnight Mike that she says, I've never heard somebody so cool in my life. And then Jake, look, he gets up in her grill and he's like, are you sure you don't know any other guy that's as cool as Midnight Mike? And then the way that Jenny looks over at Matt, like, and he kind of like shoots her this glance. It was so sexual. And I wish people would just admit it.
Yeah. They'll say that she was just doing the rounds, looking at all of the guys and how uncool they were. Yeah. All the dorks around. Mm-hmm. But no, it was really about this infatuation they have with each other.
She did say Luke Perry, so we did get a 90210 reference again.
Okay.
Just because it's of the time. And so we are going to go to the garage. I think maybe we went to the garage and then anyway, we're somewhere. Maybe we're at Sharky's. I'm kind of lost where we're at, but anyway, there's a poster board. Oh, okay. I think they're working on the poster board.
We smashed the phone. No, we go to Matt's room. The girls come in, and they manage to hide it from them again. That's kind of actually like a non-scene because it just like it's just continuing to not get that. And then so cool. Then they're in the garage again. Sly has a great idea, and they don't want to go along with another one of his stupid plans. Yes. And then he puts on a dog mask and says, "You call this stupid?"
Yes.
What do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to have anything to do with the name of this band that isn't California Dreams?
Yes. Duh. Because of the band that used to wear masks. Duh. It's a great idea.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea. And you wish you had thought of it.
I did. Where do you think I got it from?
Whoa! Origin story.
I think this is genuinely my first time ever seeing this episode. I do not remember this one whatsoever. But they said something about, they called Sly something in French here. Anyway, I looked it up. There's no French word for roadie. Okay, so I'm doing my due diligence here.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, because he said they're like, oh, that's right. He's putting up the poster, and these girls are like, oh, this is great. The dirty dogs are gonna play Sharkies, and he's like, oh, they're all pretty cool, but the coolest is what was his name in it?
Fetch.
Thank you. And Felcher, and they're all like the roadie, and they just walk away. And or after he says roadie, that means that's French for
that's what it is.
That's French for Rode, super
I looked up Rode. I spelled it every single way I could possibly do in the translator, and it doesn't come up with anything. So there's.
Are you saying that Sly was dishonest?
I think Sly was dishonest, but maybe in France, nobody will ever help you set up your equipment. Maybe it's just not a thing over there culturally.
Maybe so.
I was super happy in this next scene that we're going to see. We actually see, because we're always like, who made all those posters? Who made those shirts? We actually see a scene where they're setting up merch. And I was ecstatic. Okay. They're doing all the posters. I guess they're promoting the show. It's amazing. That's it. I was so happy for that one tidbit of band knowledge that's being bestowed upon a young generation. Of a 4-year-old Zach first watching this in 1994.
Exactly. Yeah, well, they're setting things up, and this suit comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, and I smelled him. I smelled him from a mile away. I was like, this is not your friend, Sly. Sure enough, it's an official on not so much party business coming from Washington, D.C. to try to fucking shut down their radio station.
What a running gag he had to jog with. That guy.
Yeah.
So this guy's name is Richard Levine, and he's been in 6 things ever. This is one of the last things. He was a moviegoer in Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, great old horror film, and he was an uncredited arm wrestler in Over the Top.
Oh man! Is he pretty strong under that suit jacket?
He does not look like it, but there's featherweight class in arm wrestling competitions, so maybe he's there.
Next time you're in Nashville, we're gonna watch Over the Top.
Oh, I mean, please.
I mean, that's in line with the movies that we were watching when you were here. So
it's true.
I'm kind of surprised.
Zach had never seen Dirty Dancing, and we watched that. And which is so funny because the wedding we played Unchained Melody, and I was just like, fuck, this song is so good.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's so good. And then we watched Point Break because your roommates had never seen it. So
yeah,
what the hell? Now
I know.
Same universe.
It all came together. They're the same universe.
Loop.
It's the same person. Swayze.
Same person. Yep.
Same guy. Different day.
We were all crazy.
Different bank.
So this
right.
This FCC guy is hot on the trail of this pirate broadcast, and he wants to find Midnight Mike because he wants to shut him down. All right. And the only way you're going to find Midnight Mike is to go to the Dreams concert. But Sly somehow convinces them that they're through a series of subterfuge and espionage. Mm-hmm. He gets wired, goes to the garage, and convinces the guy through Jake, through Midnight Mike, that he's going to be broadcasting outside of the school when the show's going on. Did I get all that right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think I did.
Yeah, that was really good.
We're gonna go to the school at night, which looks fucking weird, and we're doing crossing back and forth between Sharky's and the school. So the Dreams are gonna go on as the Dirty Dogs, which just means they're gonna wear dog masks.
Which is wild that Jenny and Tiffany still haven't caught on.
Pieced it together.
That they still have. They're like, oh, we're gonna jump on and pretend now that it was us the whole time, because they were playing our music by mistake.
Yeah.
Rather than just like owning up to it and being like, it's us. We're the radio station. We did the Midnight Mike. We're the California. Just go with it.
Yeah.
We're gonna benefit from this. This episode is really fun. I will say Jenny and Tiffany are maybe the dumbest they've ever been in this episode.
Yeah, for sure. And it was hard. It's hard to watch them because usually they're pretty sharp. Because we've seen pranks before where they catch on pretty quickly, and then they re-prank the guys. So we saw that with the imaginary French girl from last season.
Yep. Monique.
So they have put up a recorder of Midnight Mike so they could fool the FCC guy, and then in the midst of that, they come up with this dialogue basically that says the FCC has taken Mike out, but before his last broadcast, he's going to tell everybody that it's actually California Dreams. But do you want to hear my one LPE for this episode?
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
It was when. And it was so you had to like really listen for it, but it was when Jake as Midnight Mike is getting chased by the coppers. Somebody's like, I'm from the FCC. See?
Yeah. You know what? It got me too. It was like old timey.
It's like a radio drama.
England Asian accent. Get over here from the FCC. See?
So I mean, I was stoked.
Who was doing that voice?
I think it was I don't know. That's a good question. It was probably still Jake. So
it was I think it was Jake too. I think I wish we had watched this episode before interviewing J. Anthony Frankie, because I feel like we have questions about this.
I don't know if you would have been able to answer it, but
it's true. But like, it's a dynamic character that he's playing in this, and this is the second episode he filmed.
Sure.
And it's like, man, you really started off with a very dynamic character that kind of like, I don't know. It's like a lot of these shows do this. They like experiment with a lot of different directions where the character could go, and then just kind of like find the one that fits in the best with the ensemble or what the audience is enjoying the most. And then they just kind of like, all right, one note you forever. Yeah. And it's
I wonder where he pulled inspiration from for this, because he jumped into it and he just lived that part for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. I mean, it's Midnight Mike, the Dirty Dogs. It's like a Wolfman Jack sort of thing, you know, with the gruffness.
Yeah.
There's got to be some of that in there.
So I was happy to see that the whole band, when they put on masks, and I'm like, this is my band.
You said, fuck yeah, there's a fucking sick masks. Look at this shit. This is cool.
I was like, did we look this silly? Wearing 12 years. That's what I thought.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah, of course. So
no, you did not.
They go on stage. Literally, it's the California Dreams setup. Their drums say the California Dreams. It's the same musician standing points. You know,
this audience
it's a girl with long blonde hair, and it's a black drummer. Who do they think this band is? You know. Everyone seems shocked. They are shocked during this reveal.
Do you think they got to choose their own dog masks?
They definitely didn't. This was Sly's idea through and through.
Right, but I mean like the actors in the prop department and costuming. Do you think it was like some of them make sense? The Jake being like the husky wolfy one makes sense. Tiffany's a poodle. Like I could see that. But then like Tony is like a pug kind of, do you think like Matt, a bulldog? I don't know. It's like a hamburger face dog.
But wasn't Matt then Bulldog when he had his fake name for the California Nightmares? Remember?
Oh, he was Was he bull? I think he was Bulldog.
Yeah, because I said there on that episode, I was like, Matt is a miniature pincher at best. Like, there's no way he's a bulldog situation.
Well, he's a hound in this one.
Yeah, he's like howling at the moon a lot.
Long-eared hound dog in this one. And then what do we got? What is
he's
this?
A basset hound.
It looks like a basset hound. Yeah. And then Jenny's. Yeah, I'm double checking all this. Jenny's got looks like it might just be a golden retriever.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, Tiff's the golden retriever, so
Tiffany should be the golden retriever, but she's a poodle, and I think Jenny's more of a poodle. You know,
she's a showy one, sure.
Showy, pampered, kind of evil.
But everybody, they're like, oh. It's the California Dreams, of course. Even though they were all like, listen, you fuckhead. There's no way this is the California Dreams. This is my favorite band from the last half hour.
Exactly. So. Exactly. I mean, join the planet. All right.
Yeah. So we hear this song, we have heard this song earlier in the season, but it was only a few episodes ago, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, this song is weird. But it's crazy that it was actually that was the second time that it was actually being performed. But this is the first time we're hearing it. You know, if
we've heard this song before. Was this an episode that I wasn't on?
Possibly, but we definitely heard Low Road before, and I think because I've definitely written some notes about it. But Matt is doing his best to be a badass in this song. They even give him a guitar solo because Jake is just noodling the whole time. Did you?
I like seeing Matt solo again.
Yeah. It was
and if this was the second episode of the season too, he was still.
I think he was
still lead guitarist.
I think he was jockeying for like position. Basically, there's some like alpha headbutting in this situation.
Yeah, they definitely should have kissed, but
I saw Tony missed the opening fill. It was like he did it backwards. I noticed, but he hit the right. He hit on rhythm, but it was the wrong tom. Matt, he has a pretty bad solo, and then Jake was not as adept as he was later in the show. Okay, so
there are improvements. I will say there's some handheld camera action that's pretty great.
Some gonzo porn camera work on this one.
You could say that. I
just did. I did.
I feel like the set looks different to me too. Like the Sharkey sign being.
Mm-hmm. It's possible they were changing everything up in the beginning of this season.
Like, has it always been? God, my mind is blanking. You know, squiggly hot glass.
All right, talking about neon?
Thank you.
Squiggly hot glass.
Well, you knew what I meant. Has it always been? Has Sharky's always been written in squiggly hot glass?
Yes, it always has been.
Wow, I've been distracted by other things apparently, but we're getting a different angle. I don't know. They're shooting it differently.
It did. Like the garage looked different. Sharky's looked different. The school looked different because it was actually different lighting because it was supposed to be at night. So everything was different. Do you know what else I noticed in this scene? I think, if I'm not mistaken, you might be able to find. I think Jake kisses his guitar while he's soloing.
Wow.
His many solos. It's like November Rain. Like he has so many solos in this song, and he's just going buck wild, going ham all over this fucking the neck of this guitar. And Matt does his solo. It's near to the end of the song.
Okay.
So I think he gives it a little kiss, which now you have to do. All right. I don't do a lot of soloing on my bass.
Yeah.
So
I'm just afraid I might burn my lips.
I mean, so hot.
You know?
And anyway, so
okay. Also, this song, his mouth got close. I'm watching it. I'm just seeing it. This song has an opening riff that I can't place, but I know I've heard before. It's like it's a near identical opening riff.
So like that thing?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know.
Doesn't it sound familiar?
At gmail.com. It does sound, a lot of this sounds very derivative. So
yeah, it for sure is, but like this riff really just I'm frustrated.
This has happened before, and you figured it out later, and you have like sent it to me at 4 a.m. So I'm fully expecting that.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
Can you tell us the outfit you're wearing? Because normally we would have touched upon it, but we didn't get to talk about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm dressed as Midnight Mike here.
So anybody who's not on Patreon can see Zach is wearing. It is a red, like kind of a Dickies shirt with a black collar. You definitely look like Jake in that episode.
Isn't that pretty slick?
It's really nice.
You know what this is? You want to know what this actually is?
Is it a bowling shirt?
It's a bowling shirt that Jerry's Artorama here in Nashville. Their shirts are printed on bowling style shirts. I was like, I got one of those. That's great.
Yeah, you do.
So it's great. And then this, I didn't have a regular white t-shirt, but I do happen to have, I'll just show you. This is nothing to do with Jake, but it's a fun shirt.
Oh, that's a really fun shirt. This is a Bob Ross black and white, but there's all the colors of the rainbow in his afro.
That's right. That's
nice.
right. So now you know what's underneath it all. So, join our Patreon and you can see me flash my Bobby Rossi.
That's what he calls both his nipples.
Yeah, Bobby and Rossi. So I'm buttoning back up before.
Was it before the song started that Jenny finally puts it together when Jake is literally talking as Midnight Mike? She's like, "Oh, I see." And then instead of being like, "Why did you lie to me?" the entire episode, because that's how she would talk. She was just like, "I really like you," but. With that, a big puzzle piece fell into place, because when Jenny leaves, we're like, why is she so in love with Jake? What did he possibly do to win her over?
This makes sense. This makes more sense now. Yeah. This is how she fell in love with him, through his character of Midnight Mike.
This would work on me for sure.
Oh, he did it like, he did that voice like in private.
When they were making love.
Sure.
On that picnic that he should have taken her on in episode 3,
Yeah.
The one she got all dressed up for and they never went on.
Ah, what a bastard. I'm still mad at him for that. I'm
still mad at him too. But so they do the song. Everybody is like, we are on board with this. We forgive you for the deception. And then end of the episode. Whatever happened with the FCC guy? He basically is like, pirate radio doesn't pay, kids, don't do it. Like that was an actual like PSA within the episode.
Yeah, he just unplugs it. He just like
his job's over.
Yeah, he unplugs their broadcast and he's like,
else. Oh,
I did it. See you later.
And that's the end of the episode.
As we say in Washington.
Washington. We didn't see any parents. Goodbye, Jenny, for real. And that's it. And that's it. And we have one more episode of this season. Just like that.
That is wild. Dang. How did you feel about having Jenny back?
I really liked it because I really like the idea of it, I should say. I really wish that we would have got a little more range from her. She's playing kind of a one note like plot device in this episode. Her job is to not know the obvious, you know. And at least Tiffany can kind of play a ditz a little better, but Jenny was sharp, and she was, you know, sharp tongued, basically. Like she called bullshit when she saw it. So didn't really work for me, but it was very nice seeing her once again because her exit was so abrupt.
Yeah. I think they messed up by airing this out of order.
We'll never know why.
You know, they should have.
Bill Murray theory, but that's it.
Right. That's all we got to work with.
Conjecture. That's it.
Yeah. This is, it fills in some plot. It makes sense why the next episode, Jenny and Jake are already like head over heels, and why like it's a big deal that she's leaving to him specifically.
Yes. It's still fast, but it makes a little more sense.
Yeah. You can imagine that more has transpired between these episodes.
Sure.
You know. How long was this episode? How long was this season? Or let me try again. How long was this episode? How long did it take place? Was it a week? Was it 2 days?
I think it was only 2 days.
This one was a short amount of time.
It was. Unless they have a poster that said Friday, so it's within the span of a couple days at the most. But as far as the amount of costume changes for like shirts and stuff, like Sly had on like 3 distinct outfits, and I think, but one of them was definitely like a 2-part day. So one of his vets had like life preservers on it, I think, which I made a note of, and was like, "Who's gonna give a shit about that?" I'm not gonna say it.
I looked it up, and for the amount of popularity that they had, this took place over 16 weeks.
What?
No,
there's no way you made that up. I would have found that website way before George.
California Dreams time.
Are you kidding me right now? There are three changes of clothes that take place.
That's what I said. Yeah. So it's 2.5 days. If the show has a different outfit, probably. So a Thursday into a Friday, right?
Are you telling me that Midnight Mike and his pirate radio got this level of popularity with what was it? What's the name of the British band? The Dirty Dogs. In just 3 days.
Look how popular Oasis is. It's not unfathomable that this could happen.
That's true. And we do know that their first like accidental air, it's not like this was a reoccurring riff that they did. Were like, hey, let's play the game where you play Midnight Mike again and we play this different thing. Like from one airing, the school was already like, keep it stout. They were taken on. I mean, they wanted to be this guy. I want to be this guy. Hell,
I want to have a drink with this guy. Do you all want to give awards out real quick? It's probably our last chance to give a Jenny to Jenny.
Yeah, I feel like she should.
Wait, did George just say no under his breath? That he didn't want to give out awards?
Mike was even muted. You just heard that in your head.
George's favorite game, the award game.
Yeah, George hates it. I love it. I love that he hates it. So I'm gonna give my Jenny. I think she didn't really do anything to offend me, but you know what? I'm gonna lay off Jenny. I'm gonna give my bad. I'm gonna give my Jenny award to Matt for his solo, which was pretty butt.
Yeah.
He finally got a chance to solo again, and then next to Jake, he couldn't do it. He didn't kiss his guitar. That was the problem. So
that was missing.
I'm gonna give my Tony award to Jenny. Okay, she finally gets one. I didn't see her do anything untoward, so she gets it this week. And I'm gonna give my Tiffy to the FCC guy. He's on top of his shit.
What? I think the Jenny I'm gonna give to I think Jenny for being so stupid.
How dare you?
In this episode. Look, I blame the writers, as we always do. But it's like, I don't know. I want Jenny to have the Jenny. I do actually think she played pretty well. I
couldn't tell
her performance.
Those camera angles, I could not tell. Normally, it's just like a static shot, and I could zoom in, but like they blocked it pretty well.
Or I should correct. I think she performed pretty well.
Oh,
which was never an issue. Mm-hmm. I think the Tony. Oh, dang. Yeah. Nobody deserved the Tony this time. Okay. Everybody kind of messed up.
Yep.
But maybe the Tony. Actually, yeah, I'll give the FCC guy the Tony. Because he nailed his job.
He did the best miming his job.
Yeah, he did his job the best job he could job. Right. And then the Tiffany, I think, Sly, actually. And I think this is one of the only times you'll hear me say this. But this was one of those schemes that was kind of a victimless crime.
Yeah.
Which is also rare for Sly because usually he loves victims.
He does. That's what predatory.
And they weren't even, this was just like, hey, we're just going to like, yeah, it's a little bit of a lie, but it's also kind of a like, it's publicity. Publicity is always a little bit of a lie. Mm-hmm. And then also taking one, like, going undercover with this FCC guy.
Yeah.
Like taking the fall potentially. I mean,
this guy's wearing a wire.
He risked
the wearing a wire bit was pretty good, but I did not see that coming. Zach, do you want to guess the next episode?
Sure. Do you want to give out awards, Crank? You interested?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm too confused by using the same name with the people, and it's all right.
Okay.
Zach, we've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
And if you can't get this one, I think you're done.
I think
the title is Indecent Promposal. If you can't get this,
I think this next one is going to heavily feature. Is it a dance with children? Is it a school dance? Is it a promenade?
Anything else you got from that?
I'm worried because the more detailed I get, the more wrong I could be.
No, you got to get
about the title. Yeah, Indecent Promposal.
Somebody's going to propose. Oh, or is this a play on Indecent Proposal, the movie, which I have not seen? I just know exists.
Okay, do you know what Indecent Proposal is about?
I don't. I'm sorry.
I've never seen it either, but I know it's what Robert Redford and Demi Moore.
Dude, that movie is fucking bonkers. It is so. This couple is so toxic and shitty. The premise is that Robert Redford offers Demi Moore $1 million to her and Woody Harrelson to have sex with her for one night, kind of thing. And
a threesome?
No, he just wants to have sex with Demi Moore, and he's like, and so
Harrelson's not invited.
Yeah, the poor ass couple definitely needs it, even though they live in this fucking luxurious country home, and they're literally like abusive towards each other, and this is supposed to be a romance, and of course Robert Redford is like dashing and he's really kind and stuff, but when she doesn't accept his advances, he like gets the bank to like pull their mortgage so they can't have their house anymore and threatens to evict them. And again, that's supposed to be romantic. It is such a problematic movie. It is hilariously bad. So with that said, this sort of does have something to do with the episode, George, if you want to tell Zach how close he was.
With the prom coming up, the gang struggles to find dates. That includes Jake and Tiffany, since Tiff has her heart set on going, while Jake would rather skip the whole thing. The situation becomes even more complicated when Tiffany receives an offer from a platonic friend who says he'll score the band a summer-long gig if she accepts.
That is like Robert Redford's movie.
Zach, I'll give you half credit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, cool.
I mean, this is like, so in this situation, Jake is Woody Harrelson being cucked. Yeah. But here's the thing. There's no sex involved, right? It's just the band would get a summer-long gig. Like, fuck you, Tiffany, out the door.
I don't know, man.
Take the guy out.
I mean, well, you know what happens after prom.
I mean, kids throw up like spiked punch, I think. I only went to one prom.
Yeah, nothing's guaranteed if you're just going to prom together.
So Mookie is in this episode. So is it Mookie who's the Robert Redford?
I really hope not.
Or is it Sly?
Well, I mean, that sounds like a fun episode. The next episode is the last episode of season 2. We have made it.
We've made it.
We did it again. We're going to have some really fun content stuff from our Nashville trip for some end of the season, mid-season break or whatever. So depending when we get that to help edited and shit. So we did our best to get Brentley Gore on this season. It did not work out. We were 10 minutes away from him, and he could not make it.
So close.
We were so close, but we still made it work. We still played the board game together. Please stay tuned for that. It was a super fun episode to record. And so all three of us are going to be back here for the final episode of season 2. We got some fun in between seasons stuff planned, but we're due for a kind of a break. Zach is going to be doing Festival of Ghouls. Pete's going to be doing some writing and recording.
George is going to be catching up on video editing.
So anyway, we want to thank everybody for sticking with us for this season. Stay tuned for the season finale next week. You can write to us at surfdudeswithattitude@gmail.com, surfdudeswithattitude.com for our stuff. And patrons, stick around for the encore. We're doing a short show, and we're just going to talk about some fun music stuff. You can help support the show at CaliforniaDreamsPodcast.com. I did have one more note. We got a message from one of our fans. One of our fans refuses to watch California Dreams, but they listen to us religiously. And Jake, sorry, Midnight Mike over there. He brought up he brought up a really good point. We just released the episode called Vote of Confidence. He had an excellent point, Zach, that you might remember. In that episode, Jake's brother is introduced, and they have a sibling rivalry kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if, George, you probably didn't hear this either, but Jake supposedly moved in within the last year to this school, right? So
at the first episode, yeah.
Yeah, so his family moved, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So why is Jake's brother's shit still all over that room if he's away at college?
Whoa.
Well, did they ever explain it? Could it be a situation where like it was a private school and now he's going to public school?
Of course they didn't explain it.
Right.
What show are you on?
So yeah, that could be the case. So he didn't move, he just transferred schools.
Or did he go to Voctech before?
So what happened that Jake magically started going to another school? That's like you get expelled or something.
Well, didn't he get expelled? I mean, he already had the reputation that like he was dangerous.
He was sex trafficking at least 2 women from the other school, though.
Right. The bare minimum.
I mean, that's the type of behavior I would expect from someone who murdered an entire family of people, like the Garrison family.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, when you got the hierarchy of ne'er-do-wells, but he's right at the top.
Wasn't he was he going to Voctech and then he moved to the regular school? Because
we don't know. I'm just saying.
Didn't they say when he shows up, they're like, oh, that's Jake Summers. He was expelled for his last three schools for being.
They might have said something
beating
like that.
He beat up the principal.
Yeah, that's what they said.
He got expelled from his last school because he beat up the principal.
Such a problem child, though.
That's not what happened, but
I think that was like all the rumors. Basically, he was like, all the rumors you hear about me aren't true. So
exactly, I'm actually a sensitive type, and I love writing poetry.
I just want to say that when we get a message from one of our fans that makes sense, I'm going to bring it up whether anybody wants it or not. So we want to thank our fan that is steadfast in not wanting to watch any of the show and just likes listening to our voices.
That's awesome.
Makes sense though. Yeah, good job, listener.
That's great. Thank you for doing that.
Stay tuned for the last episode with Matt Garrison. So huge. And until next week, this is a squiggly hot glass from New York City. Stay stout, everybody.
This is Midnight Mike signing off.
Boy, this is Crank.
I love your British accent.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us or for hanging around for the encore. Is podcasting the modern equivalent of pirate radio?
I mean, based on how quickly we became popular, just like the Dirty Dogs, I would say yes. I'd see the parallels aplenty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not illegal, but it should be based on some of the quality of podcasts that I've heard.
Yeah, you can really put anything up.
Literally anything. Everybody has a show.
Yeah. That's wild.
I mean, I would think if you could turn back time, big media would have tried to kill it if they could. I mean, it pretty much destroyed an entire industry.
Well, nobody took it seriously because it was just a bunch of dorks in microphones and bad like internet connections that were putting this shit out, you know. But because it was so easy, it was like the SoundCloud for fucking radio people. Like everybody got their turn at bat at this T-ball game. So
yeah. The interesting difference to me is that radio, up until satellite radio, transistor radio is so regional. Mm-hmm. It's much more communal because you're like the people on the radio are likely to share in the community in which you exist. And podcasts, while not regional, also kind of have their own community, but it's spread out much further.
There were some syndicated things, like you had to be like with Premier Radio or something like that to get something syndicated, like Howard Stern or Rush Limbaugh or Love Connection, stuff like that. But for the most part, it was all regional and like.
Wait, do you mean Loveline?
Yeah, that's right. Loveline. Sorry.
If you want to watch old episodes of Love Connection, you need to do special license for it.
Oh man, yeah, that was a total brain fart. Chuck Woolery.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like I like you're from Zach. You're from a rural area. The stuff in this area of Pennsylvania on local radio was just like dreadful. I can't even imagine what local radio is like where you are.
I mean, not much. Like there was college stuff and still is college stuff. But it's like we can kind of get it from Nashville and Murfreesboro. Lebanon, Wilson County there was really nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that people would be like trading cows and shit over the radio.
Yeah, exactly. We're just auctioneers.
That's what you should have done the voice as. Like, I bet one of you guys could pull out a big auctioneer voice for a fake band.
I would love to. You know,
that's got to be a learned thing. Like, there's got to be a YouTube tutorial we can look at to like have the auctioneer voice.
Yeah. Should we practice?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Nobody's paying enough for that.
Okay.
So have either of you ever had your own like radio show or anything like that, goofing around as a kid? Is that something you ever wanted to be?
I think you did, George. Like,
I definitely did. Yeah,
this was your. Did you have like a pretend one? Like did you used to pretend to be on the radio?
Yeah, my brother had like this tape deck thing with a microphone on it. I guess it was like a primitive karaoke thing, and I would totally do that.
My sister had one of those like little computer things, and she was literally like, "I'm a hacker, and I'm hacking with this little fucking like play school computer." So,
well, I do remember you. I do remember you having a Talk Boy.
Yeah, well, I had the generic Talk Boy. Couldn't afford the real one, but
that wasn't a real one.
No, it was probably called a squawk kid or something.
Peat guy, yeah.
Oh, that's even better. It looked just like it too.
So it was the generic one, and it could play you backwards. It could slow down your voice, and that was it. But my sister got a Talk Girl though. My sister got the official one, and I got the bullshit one. Same thing happened when we were poor and we got the Reebok pumps, but there was it was the generic version, and I didn't
even know that there was a Talk Girl.
Nice. Oh yeah, it was pink.
Was that like this is Patricia McAllister, the mother?
The mother. Nice. No, I didn't have a radio show. I don't know about you, Zach.
We do like fake interviews and stuff with like a microphone and a tape recorder. Me and my siblings. Not so much. I think my older siblings had radio shows that I might have guessed it on as a little baby.
I would have loved to get a copy of that. That's the thing. Like now, kids can have actual radio shows, and that's forever imprinted on the Wayback Machine or like the Internet Archive. But back then, we just had our imaginations. And how stupid is that? I do remember with my fake talk boy, I had seen that scene in The Exorcist where she speaks backwards. So I would try to mimic what she said. She said, "I am no one." And then I would try to memorize what "I am no one" sounded like and play it backwards and get it as close as possible.
That's fun. How good are you?
Not a cunning linguist when it comes to backwards speech.
You're only good at cunning linguist the regular way.
That's right.
Cunnilinguistism.
Yes.
Cunning linguistism.
That comes from the Latin felch. Yes.
Yes.
So I do want to talk about Pump Up the Volume, because that was obviously part of the.
So glad I brought that up. Yeah,
I am too. Amazing soundtrack. It was like probably the first soundtrack
was
I had.
Great.
With like real bands and.
Do you know what was on there? I think the Pixies were on there. I think that was one of the first times.
Pixies. It was Concrete Blonde, Soundgarden.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can remember off the top of my head. But
do you remember what his handle was? Because I do, which is weird.
No, I don't. And I just saw so it's weird. My mom worked at Blockbuster Video, so she had a copy of the tape, but I never saw the tape. She had a screener, but she also had the soundtrack, and she gave me the soundtrack, and I listened to it all the time, and I was a huge fan of the soundtrack. So I thought it had to have been a great movie because I loved the soundtrack so much. Above the Wall was also on it.
Yeah.
And then I just saw the movie because you couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't available in DVD or tape or anything. Mm-hmm. I just saw it for the first time over the summer, and the movie sucked.
It's not great. His name in the movie is Hard on Harry, and he mimics masturbation like multiple times on the radio, and everybody loves it. But it's kind of like, I think if California Dreams would have had outside shots, it would have been this, because there was a whole montage of people just like turning in on their radio, listening on the football field. Like everybody's just into this for some reason. And so I definitely still think this episode took inspiration from that. It's a relic of time. You know, you should see it.
And Christian Slater and Samantha Mathis were dating during this movie.
That tracks. It was a ton of cocaine between them. And then
they were broken up when they did Broken Arrow.
Oh. A lot can happen.
John Travolta did that.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
He had a hand in there.
Yeah, but he was not
untimely split. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
So for your show, your gig where you play guitar.
Yeah.
How is it weird switching instruments? Like, you've played bass your entire life, and now you're doing gigs playing guitar. Is that like, do you get nervous about that, or are you just like that much of a performer that it's no big deal? Because switching instruments, that's a big deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, Zach is definitely more of a multi-instrumentalist in his band. At least like when you're with your sister, you're playing a bunch of instruments. But at least for me, on this one. I was only nervous because like I wasn't nervous for cocktail hour. I've done a couple weddings at this point. Cocktail hour is easy. People are just milling around. They're talking. It's fine. Dinner, fucking whatever, you know. I was only nervous because we had this added element of backing tracks in here, which we'd never used. And then the ceremony, I'm always nervous about. Like, because I don't want to fuck the ceremony up. Like, they're going to remember that. Everything else, you're icing on the cake. Yeah. And so when the groomsmen were walking out, they wanted to save it for later, the Eddie Vedder version. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It was just on the new season of The Bear as like the opening montage. It's like a 5.5 minute song, but like because it's the groomsmen walking, it's literally that's how long it is. You have to improvise basically. But this song literally it's the same riff over and over and over and over and over again. So but I started and there's no backing. We weren't using backtracks for this. So everyone was waiting for me. And as soon as I started, that's when the processional started. So I was very nervous at that point. And then the recessional was Bittersweet Symphony, and our backing tracks didn't work on that song. So Tara's just like, we're just going to go, which is fine because it's 4 chords and then the cello line. So that's easy and it sounded fine. But then we did like a Joni Mitchell song for the bridesmaids, and then we did La Vie en Rose, which is a French song. So I'm not super familiar with either of those. I played La Vie en Rose before, but the Joni Mitchell was hard. So we found a simpler arrangement because that shit's all about the poetry. It's like this, the guitar is so secondary and stuff like that. So long story short, too late. I was nervous because I didn't want to fuck up anybody's day. They were paying a lot of money for this. It really meant a lot to them. You know, like I'm just a guy. I'm hired, so I wasn't expecting anything special for me, but I want to look like a professional at the same time, you know?
You know, it's funny because I've been around the video industry for, I mean, it's got to be like 15 years now. Mm-hmm. The one thing, even when I was a director, like I was a director professionally, and I had camera guys that would do side work, and a couple of them did wedding videography. Mm-hmm. And they offered to bring me in, and that was one thing I was like, hell no, because like, all the people that get sued all the time, like that's like something I just could never bring myself to do. It's like,
well, it depends. Like you hear about the bad ones, like, but you like a lot of the good ones you don't hear about because like they did their job. And I think being a videographer for a wedding would be tough because you pretty much have to scold people for using their phone and fucking up the shot, you know, like, but music's kind of the same way. We're competing with DJs, you know, and playlists and stuff. So the fact that these people wanted so much music throughout the day is cool. But at the same time, we're like, people are here to fucking dance and have a good time. Like we don't want to, I don't want to fuck that up. So I don't know. Zach, you guys have played a wedding. Is it sort of similar? At least your band got to play.
We've played a couple of weddings. It is more nerve-wracking, partly because you don't know exactly what to expect and don't know exactly what to try to get out of it. I guess what's different about weddings to other gigs, because the only time we've played 2 different weddings. I've played a couple of weddings where it's just me, guitar, and cellist or violin friends, and that's much more like vibey in improvisational. Mm-hmm. The other 2 weddings that Fable Cry got asked to play, they wanted Fable Cry to play, so we just played our original.
Those are great. Those are songs, great.
And those are great. Yeah. And the difference is like when we play a show at a venue or a bar club, we are like, this is what we're going to try to get out of it, and we're trying to control the room. Mm-hmm. With a wedding, it's a little more like you know, we ask the bride and groom how they want us to control the room, and then, you know, kind of act accordingly. One of them was outside. It was a super like circusy bohemian style. Everybody was in costumes, and everyone was dancing in the yard with like fairy lights and stuff, and like very energetic. And then another one, we were playing outside, and it was a very small kind of intimate, like a lot of introverted folks that were kind of just like mingling and talking to each other and like kind of swaying. And it was like, okay, we're somewhere between background music and people are enjoying it, but they're not like here for the show the way that the other one was. And both were great. The latter, we got to play Teenage Dirtbag, which I think I've talked about. So that was pretty fun.
Love that song.
Yeah, they're like, well, you don't need to play any songs, just Fable Cry songs, no others except for Teenage Dirtbag.
Is that the weirdest request you've gotten?
Probably. We don't get requests that often. We don't take requests.
We've
ever.
gotten a few, but just for the wedding stuff. Like one of the processionals was Orion by Metallica. There's a Far Cry song. It's a video game series. Another one was For Whom the Bell Tolls, was another wedding that the groom walked to. And like
cool song, but yeah,
he was a metalhead.
Well,
so
I couldn't have guessed.
But then one of them wanted us to learn Airwolf, the 80s TV show about the helicopter, and we're like,
that's amazing.
Okay,
that's right up your alley.
It's such a fun song too. We kept it
in there.
We kept it in the set because we're like, this song fucking kicks ass, So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So Zach, how about for you? Switching up instruments, is that something that there's a mental barrier involved with performing with a different instrument?
Not too much. I mean, I haven't played more than guitar and vocals for a while now with this band. I play accordion, and I used to play it on probably about a quarter to a third of the songs that during any given set. And I sort of stepped away from it. I still know how to play, and I play it here and there, and I'll put it on recordings. It's still on a bunch of the albums as layers and stuff, but I wasn't progressing with accordion as quickly as I was writing, and I didn't want to take the time to get better. I wanted to
fucking hard instrument, man.
It's a hard instrument. Part of it at the time too was like it worked in an acoustic band, but then when we expanded and had a much louder band, I was going to have to like update my equipment and get an accordion with an input jack. And it was like, okay, so I can afford to do that, or I can afford to get like a proper amp for my guitar so that I can be heard here. And then, and then maybe circle back to the accordion, and then like, a year goes by, and then 2 years go by. And so now it's, so I don't switch up instruments too much anymore live. I've guested on some friends' stuff since then on accordion live. So, if you want to do a wedding,
it looks really fun. It's a great look because it's so old school. And then with your outfits, I'm sure it was just a blast.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's so specific though. Like a guitar, you can play everything on guitar. Mm-hmm. On accordion, you're never not going to sound like you're playing an accordion.
You're not gonna look any cooler either. So,
and you're not going to look like you're playing something else. Yeah, like you really got to dress the part to play the accordion.
It's called a squeeze box for a reason.
There's got to be like a MIDI version of it, like a keytar version of an accordion.
I mean, it's starting to sound pretty close, but like it's the look of doing it. So it's like 3 instruments in one. So you can't beat that.
Yeah.
So I do have an accordion, and I have never learned how to play it because it is such a bastard to learn how to play.
It's one of the ones with the many buttons on the side. Like it's not the
you got the double,
the amateur version. Yeah.
The double buttons, like your right hand's got the buttons as well.
The right hand has the keys and the left hand has the buttons.
Okay, and that's like mine. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess there's like 3 pedals in the center to choose what sound you want it to have, and there's the whole breathing thing. And I if you ever want to earn extra money by teaching me how to play accordion, I'm happy to pay.
George, you need to be Billy Joel. Like, you need to have your guitar really low, you have the accordion on the middle, and then you need like a harmonica up there, and then
this would be cymbals at the knees.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
And like a grinder monkey.
Would be like, same question, George. Is it nerve-wracking to switch between instruments?
No, it's just second nature for George, the one-man band.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, Pete, what was it like playing with backing tracks? Because we were talking about that on last week's episode, and now you've done it.
I did it. It saved my ass at a lot of times. I think I don't know. Yeah, I told earlier that like I kind of just backed off when I wasn't really there. And there was a couple songs that I opted out of because I was like, I don't know this. This isn't in my wheelhouse. So I either let the backing track do it or I let my lovely cellist take over. One of those songs was from Fan of the Opera. And I was like, I don't want to learn this. I'm not familiar with it. I'm going to fuck this up. So she kind of did that on her own. And then there was a Vivaldi piece. And I'm like, she plays Vivaldi. So I'm like, you go for it. And then there's a Fred Astaire number that was just like straight up all fucking weird ass jazz chords. And I'm like, this is not my wheelhouse. I don't want to do a bullshit version of a Fred Astaire song. You know, like we simplified. We found a really nice, pretty version of the Joni Mitchell song. But the Fred Astaire song is like, it's Fred Astaire. Like, I'm not going to make that like an RC Cola version of this Coca-Cola song, you know, if that makes sense. So, so the backing tracks were kind of a godsend at some points, but other times it was like, we could have done it without, you know, and a couple of them we did just opted to not have them on. But like these fucking Coldplay songs that go on forever and it's 4 chords over and over again. I'm like, I don't want to have to count up like 18 stanzas or whatever and then go to the chorus that's literally the same 4 chords. So the backing tracks were very helpful in that sense because they kind of like you heard more orchestration, so you knew where in the song you were. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't think I would use it on stage, but we did have in-ear monitors this time, and that was a game changer. I'd never actually used any of those, and that was just like, oh my God, I can hear it. And it's something we've been planning for years, but we found kind of a cheaper way to do it. It causes more problems on the road because it's like, this is a whole other setup that you have to do, and every place is going to be a little different. But I definitely want to be able to hear us a lot better and have more control over that.
So how does that work? Is that like noise protection with built-in like pass-through for what you're playing? Or
not really noise protection. It's not really supposed to protect your ears, although I think that might be like an added benefit. It's really just so you can hear the person's instrument. You're not relying on monitors facing you to do it. You're being fed directly the other instruments. Okay. And if a band was playing backing tracks, we had the backing tracks in our ears. So that was basically like our own click track. But the people are also hearing it out there, so you can control that. But mainly like a cello, we just need it to be cranked in the monitor so much. And then sometimes that causes feedback, and it's just so nice to like, oh, she's right there. And if I want her to be louder, I just have to turn the knob on my little thing, and that's it. So now we can hear ourselves. We're not struggling. We can hear a loop. So yeah, it's go back on tour. That's definitely going to be like priority 1.
So what's the investment for that? Is that like something that a new band could easily afford, or is that like pretty steep investment?
It's steep, but do you have them?
Yeah, it is steep.
It's at least $1,000.
Yeah, we've done it one time for a venue that was just the way they did it. It was our only time we've played downtown Nashville. Really? And yeah, apparently downtown Nashville, like a bunch of the venues, they don't have on stage monitors, so that's the only way.
Oh, interesting.
And in their case, like they have like a pack, the monitor pack that you wear on your belt, and then you can bring your own headphones. I mean, we had wired like in ear, that just slunk under our shirts. It was wild. I mean, I could see the benefit for sure, especially for bigger shows where like the stage is so vast, and where you might have, all the like major bands do it in ears, because there's no reason to have that many monitors lining the entire arena stage.
It'll probably go like the monitors will probably be a thing of the past here pretty soon. Like if it makes more sense to just have this monitor thing, and then you just bring your own earbuds, and this is like less speakers to kind of take care of. And sometimes these big places have their own technician just for the monitors, and that's another job you could cut. So I mean, but for smaller venues, which this one was, it's not a big bar downtown, but the I don't know, it feels sort of underwater. It was a little disorienting. I didn't love the experience. I think if it was just instrumental, and I could learn to love it, but singing with that as well, with like, the singing thing is probably big. I've never had to actually do that, but like just being able to hear the other person's voice and your own voice would be huge. That's why all the cool people in the studios are holding their ears, right?
Yeah, I think it's all about this. It's all about holding your ears.
You can still do that and look awesome. So.
Exactly.
That's how I podcast.
We should be doing that. I do it like I'm beatboxing the whole time. That's really what I'm doing.
Yo, this is Crank.
Now we do. We practice at my house on weekends, but it's loud, and we do the volume thing with the PA, and then we do like if we got to do a weeknight thing, our neighbors are a little bit cranky. So we practice at our drummer's house, but he's got a whole in-ear system, so we just wear headphones, and so that works out pretty well. So I don't know. I could see getting used to the thing. I could see getting used to using in-ears. Live still feels a little bit odd because it feels like you're separated from the room a little bit, but practicing, it's nice to be able to hear yourself and the other instruments.
Well, whatever new band we start, we're getting in-ears, and we're getting some squiggly hot glass that says our band name. All right.
Shoot, yeah. Sharkies. That's our band name.
Shoot, yeah. That's our band name.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, patrons, for contributing and producing the show for us. We really appreciate your contributions, and we'll see you next week for the last episode of this season, and right before our break.
Yes, thank you.
Good night. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to say this time, drive safely.
Drive carefully.
Fuck me. Have a good drive.
Illegal broadcasting doesn't pay.
Have a safely drive.
Wear your helmets.
Illegal broadcasting doesn't pay, kids.
This has been a Winning Moon production.